Should you give kids second chances? What do you think? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication, as well as how to build strong family bonds all over the world through the lens of the principle of self-government. And in this video, we're talking about second chances. Someday I'll make a video where I just say yes or I just say no to some of these questions that we ask on these videos. But today I'm going to say yes and no. For the answer, should you give a kid second chances? It's a yes and no. It actually does depend. So in this video, we're going to go into when you should give second chances and when second chances might actually hurt the child. I think it's human nature to want to give people second chances. I think sometimes it feels a little too rigid, maybe too strict for people to not give second chances. So let me just explain my background a little bit. I'm the mother of 4. They've all grown into adulthood by now, and I'm actually a grandmother now at this point. So loving the grandchildren phase of life. And I am seeing my children parent their children. But not only that, I actually was a therapeutic treatment care parent for troubled teens for many years. And I brought multiple youth into my home, ages 12 to 18, and I helped them learn the skills and principles of self-government so that they could get treatment to fix their relationships, to fix their addictions and behaviors, and to help them be able to integrate back into regular life and be able to be successful. That's actually why people started asking me to teach about self-government and why the BBC made the BBC documentary about our family that you've probably seen on this channel. If you've watched some of those reaction videos, that could be kind of fun for you. So did I ever give any of my children or those other children second chances? Absolutely. In fact, I think our heart should always want to give second chances. I think that's the right way to interact with other people. I think it hurts relationships. I probably should say I know it hurts relationships to think to yourself, I can't forgive that. That what is over and done, that person is just that way and that's it. They can't ever do it right. I mean, who wants to label another person like that? Because now you're working with a person that you think you can't work with. It hurts you and it hurts them if you can't give them a second chance or let them fix things and move on. In fact, when I correct children with the teaching self-government parenting approach, which is a super positive, calm, confidence-building parenting approach, what I focus on is always being okay. If they've done something that needs correction or needs to take some of my time, I call this having the tone of acceptance. I can accept that something occurred. I can accept that it's going to take a little bit of our time to correct it and to work on it, and I'll probably have to be patient along the way. I can accept that. And my calmness that I have when I'm talking to the child about the problem also shows my acceptance. But does that mean that they shouldn't earn any negative consequences? Now that's another thing. If you subscribe to this channel already, then you probably know that my definition of self-government is this: being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So that means you understand cause and effect, and it also means that you have the ability to analyze and evaluate yourself and make different plans for yourself so that you keep yourself on track with where you want to be going. So that means that a person has to experience cause and effect. And a person has to get the opportunity to analyze themselves. And if you don't see the negative consequences of your choices, you may not be able to get a really good analysis. It is important for a person's freedom to actually fail sometimes, which means that parents shouldn't be so afraid of their child failing from time to time. Just look at it as a teaching moment. In fact, if you look at everything as a teaching moment, you handle it confidently, calmly, and allow the child to have the opportunity to learn the lessons that they need, then truthfully, you are going to always have that tone of acceptance with you. And that will show them that you're always giving them a second chance. There's other things that you can do too. When you're correcting them, you can say, hey, I need to correct you for something. This is what happened. It's really no big deal that it occurred. Anybody could make this mistake, and I'm sure you'll fix it and be able to improve next time so that we don't have this problem in the future. But this is what happened, and this is what should have happened. And, let's practice it the right way, and you've earned this negative consequence. That tone where you say, it's no big deal. You tell yourself it's no big deal, you tell them it's no big deal, that ultimately gives them a second chance, even if they did have to accept a negative consequence because they need to learn cause and effect. Now, occasionally, when a child is trying something, maybe it's a skill, and they're almost there. Maybe they're not fully calm. Let's say, for instance, I'm giving them a no answer. Now, to accept a no answer, if you'll remember, on this channel I talk about 4 basic skills for success. The second of those 4 basic skills is accepting no answers and criticism. There are 4 steps to that skill. They are to look at the person or the situation, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and then to drop the subject. So let's say I tell my child, no, you can't go to that party with your friends. And they say okay. And I can see they're really focusing on trying to be calm and accepting it, but they are disappointed. Or maybe they're a little mad even, because they're going to be the only one not going. And they're trying to drop the subject and not talk about it anymore. But I can see that in their heart, they're really not fully calm yet. Well, number one, I want to talk to them about it, but we can't do it until we do get calm. And I want them to see that they can choose calmness right in the minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know, right now, you're working really hard on accepting a no answer, and I can see that you're almost there. You're like 80 or 90% there. But it seems like you want to talk to me about something. Maybe you should disagree appropriately with me about this. Maybe there's an opinion you want to share with me that I need to understand. Or you can get calm and we can just talk about it afterward. But I'd love to hear what you have to say. So we're going to do this again. Ask me the question again. And then this time, when I say no, say, okay, may I disagree appropriately? Or say okay and tell yourself to let it go. And then if we need to talk about it afterward, we can. So then we'll literally just go back in time and do the same interaction again. You know what they see is this communication thing, it can change at any moment. It doesn't have to be one moment set in stone. I have other options. This is great. And I'm giving them an opportunity. Now, sometimes I may even just say to them, like, they're totally calm and they're dropping the subject, and I say okay. And they go, oh, okay. Because I see that they're all completely calm anyway. Those would be considered second chances, would they not? So let's say there's something like curfew. The person doesn't make it home in time to meet their curfew. Should you correct the person, or should you just give them a second chance? I would definitely err on the side of correction. They need to learn cause and effect. And you will probably give them another chance in the future, but they need the opportunity to accept their negative consequence first. Now, if you've pre-taught your child ahead of time that if they don't meet their curfew, that the negative consequence is they won't be going out anywhere for the next weekend, then they need to accept that. And that will help them remember in the future to make sure that they follow through, or at least call or something, right? If I didn't give them that opportunity, then does curfew mean anything? No. It would be meaningless. So if I give second chances in that circumstance right then it actually could hurt them, because they could feel like my instructions and the direction isn't really that important to follow. And they could start to take all of my direction casually, which could then put them in danger. Sometimes they need to learn the cause and effect and accept the consequences because it keeps them safe. And sometimes it is okay to coach them a little bit by giving them little second chances along the way. But don't let those little coaching moments monopolize all of the teaching moments. They could really end up playing you if they're a manipulator, because they don't want to be okay at first, and then they keep pushing it to see how many second chances you'll give them. It is sometimes more merciful just to correct at the beginning and let them know next time you'll know that they can do better. This is just one little piece of teaching self-government, and we have just barely scratched the surface for you, but I have so much more that I can share with you. So if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to click on the next video, which is the not so known secret for parenting success. That video will go into a lot more detail on the skills and principles of self-government so that you can start using them at your house.